What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Nerf TerraScout Recon. This product is a radio-controlled tank with an attached fully automatic blaster, effectively a rapid strike, featuring a live view camera in the front of the blaster so you can see where you're going and see where you're shooting in the radio screen. Very cool product, but for my longtime viewers, I have reviewed something very similar to this, so this video is also covering: is it better or worse than the original TerraScout? Is it just a reskin, or are there any upgrades? Let's get into the review and find out. Included is the vehicle base, the vehicle blaster, remote control, vehicle's rechargeable battery and charger, 35-round drum magazine, black elite darts, and the instructions. Assembly is fairly easy. First you connect the wiring harness, then you snap the blaster portion of the unit into the vehicle portion of the unit. This is not a tactically detachable component, it's only detached for shipping. Long review, lots to cover. First I'll go over a quick overview just to point out all of the components. Starting up with the front, In-Strike Tactical muzzle so you can attach your blaster barrels. Below that, an In-Strike Tactical rail. Up top, another In-Strike Tactical rail, and that's on top of a carry handle type of thing, which makes moving the vehicle really easy because there really isn't another place to comfortably and safely pick this up by. Up front, the camera lens for the live view that feeds into the radio, as well as the internal recording. If you choose to record your gameplay footage, there's also an SD slot right here, covered by this little rubber flap which you can pry open with like a slotted screwdriver or a pen. And it's a rubber flap to try to repel water to make it somewhat moisture resistant. It's not waterproof by any means, but it does a better job than a plastic flap. And it holds a standard SD card, not a micro SD. There is a capacity maximum. It's either 16 or 32 gigabytes, meaning it will not even read a 64 gigabyte or above SD card. It is worth pointing out though, this camera records at such a low bit rate, having a low capacity SD card like a 16 gigabyte SD card isn't a huge hindrance. If I put that card in that camera, I could only record video for like 5 minutes and then it would just be full. But slightly different quality there, which I'll show in my comparison. Moving on from the camera, right here you have an access door which you can open up to clear out any jams or malfunctions like a standard Nerf blaster. And on the reverse side you have the magazine. Well, to get the magazine out, you push the magazine release right here and then pull. The included drum holds 35 rounds, and if the shape looks familiar, it's pretty much the same as the old Raider drum. However, they painted the center black for tactical reasons, because black is tactical and stealthy, right? I don't know. Much more convenient to drive than an 18-round stick mag because the overall width is like way compressed so you don't smack it into doorways, which on the original TerraScout I did often. It's difficult to drive that inside because it's wider than it needs to be. So this gives you awesome capacity without too much extra width. And further back you have this little ring which I would ordinarily name a sling mount, but I really wouldn't recommend this as a tactical secondary to wear on a sling. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you can tactically attach stuff like one of those little Phantom Core flags or something. And this goofy little notch above that is to hold your radio. The radio has a matching little attachment point so you can slide it in like that. Generally you want that in your hands, not attached to the vehicle if you want to drive it around, but this is really convenient for storage so you don't like separate them and lose one or the other. And as many people said in my other review, this also allows you to somewhat turn it into like a turret. However, you've just bought a $200 rapid strike for no reason. But whatevs. Moving down, now the blaster unit snaps into the vehicle unit when you buy the blaster, but this is not a tactically detachable component. It's not like a barrel attachment or a stock. Once you click it into place, it's locked. You're not supposed to remove this. That's just for shipping purposes, but this portion is able to lift up to aim like and shoot further. Moving down to the tread, now this is a tank instead of like a traditional car. The main advantage of this is it can go over like different materials. If you're outside, it could go over like rocks and thicker grass and heavier junk that wheels would get caught up in or like jammed up by. This is also an advantage inside though. If you're like me and you have shag rugs in your house or thick carpet or I don't know, some type of weird thing like a fluffy pillow or some type of small object, a wheel might run into it and stop and get jammed. This like lip on the front allows the tank to get up onto it and then just drive up on it. It feels like driving a monster truck when they just like plow over all the little cars. It feels pretty cool. So tanks have that great advantage. That's why militaries use them. And in the back right here, you have the on switch as well as the channel selector. On switch obviously turns it on, but the channel selector, there's 4 channels which have to be mated to the radio here. A lot of RC products feature this multiple channel type of thing. So if you have 2 TerraScouts, which you can run in the same room on separate channels, so this one's set on 1 and the other one's set on 4, they can drive without the radio signals interfering with each other. Fun little note, you can set both vehicles to one radio channel and control two at the same time. However, I received some like receiver lag, so both vehicles weren't responding at the same time, so I wasn't able to drive them like in perfect synchronicity. But it's still pretty cool, and if your buddy has one of these, you could totally just channel surf and then like hack his car and drive it around, maybe dump all of his ammo into a wall. Hypothetically, that's not cool though. I shouldn't put bad ideas in people's heads. Anyways, this entire vehicle is powered off of one battery down here, and this powers both the tank and the blaster, so it's just one rechargeable. To get to that battery, you move the screw here and take off the battery plate. This rechargeable battery and its charger is included with the tank car, and it features a large type Tamiya connector, so you just snap it in, plug it into the wall, and wait a while. Once it's all charged up, you put it back into the vehicle and then return the battery cover. There's a little rubber seal underneath the battery plate to try to help with weather resistance. The box says it like all over the place that this should not be driven in water, and I totally agree. I like that they put this weather sealing on it, so if you happen to drive through a splash or you have accidental water, it should be fine. And the Tamiya connection by itself is also somewhat water resistant. It's not waterproof, and I hate to say that, but they do a good job of protecting the electronics from most accidents, but don't drive this in the rain or get it wet on purpose. But it should be good-ish if you just get it a little bit wet. I just said good-ish. I can't say it's good because then you're going to drive it through a puddle and say, damn it, Frank said I could, he broke it. Ugh. But I can't say it's completely crap because I think it's well designed for like splash resistance. This is why we can't have nice things. People sue each other. So I think that was the brief overview. Oh, and the ram guard, which is just adorable. Yeah, that concludes the overview of the tank. Now to the radio. Now this does not run on a rechargeable battery. This has a separate power source, and it runs on 4 AA alkaline batteries, which are not included. To get to those, you just take out the screw, remove the plate, put in your alkalines, and shut the plate and screw it back in. Overview of the radio. This orange thing is a screen protector, so you can like pivot it out of the way to see the screen, but nothing holds it up, so it'll fall back down like that. Starting up at the top, you have a record light, which is red when you're able to record and flashing red when you are recording. And the orange button right below that is the button to actually start recording. You do that remotely, which I think is cool, so you don't have to walk up to the drone. So maybe you're just like idling, doing something, you're like, oh, I'm about to shoot this guy. Press record and then pew pew. The recording feature and the live feed feature are separated elements, so you don't have to have your SD card in if you just want a live feed, which I think is awesome. I don't really want to waste my time with the SD card. The gameplay footage is just so low resolution, but when it's streaming to this little monitor, it's extremely helpful to see not only where your car is located and what it's facing, but also where your barrel is facing. Because the camera is attached to the blaster and not the car, when you start to elevate your blaster like that, the camera follows with that elevation. And there's a little crosshair on the screen so you can kind of aim it. It doesn't really line up with the barrel, but it's helpful. The left stick over here is forward and backwards. The right stick is right and left. Down here you have your channel selector, which should match your tank's channel selector, and then the on and off switch. Down below you have 2 sling attachment points, which I do think would be super helpful to attach like around your neck so it can just kind of hang from your neck. And on the back you have your triggers. On the left it's like a rocker switch, so you can aim the turret up and down. And the right trigger is a fire trigger. It doesn't have a rev and a fire, it just has one fire. So it revs and then fires by itself. And I already covered the little attachment lug if you want to attach it to the vehicle. That is the relatively quick overview of all of the little components. It's quick for a Frank review, even though it took quite a while. Assuming you're on the same channel on both the tank and the controller, you can turn it on by just doing that. You know, pushing the on button, who would have guessed? So there is a tiny delay in when something actually happens in front of the camera and when it's transmitted. Hopefully you can see it just blocking out. It's not too long of a delay to make driving difficult, so if you don't actually have line of sight to the tank, you can look just at the little monitor and still steer pretty well. Displayed on the radio monitor itself, other than the live feed of course, is a battery monitor, an elevation indicator when you move the turret up and down, your SD status, you know how long you've been recording, and the center crosshair thing, which again isn't perfectly calibrated, but it is helpful as something of a reference point. If you've ever used a remote control car, this is pretty much the same, other than this one shoots, and that's pretty cool. But it is pretty easy to use and fast to learn. So again, forward, backwards, and side to side. Tank turning is different than car turning. When a car turns, it moves the wheels, but if you're stationary and you just move the wheels, it doesn't move. Tanks turn by changing the power input on their left and right tread, so spinning in place is a thing. Yeah. I try to balance my audio so I don't murder headphone users, but it is incredibly loud. Louder than it sounds relative to my voice because I intentionally dropped that audio. It sounds like a lot of plastic gearing, and I think you know what I mean by that. Just like whining, high-pitched plastic, but it's definitely fun. So that is the overview of the TerraScout Recon. If I missed anything and you still have questions, go check out my review of the TerraScout 1, which is this thing here, because I had a more elaborate review on just this product. But now to the operational demo, which will also be side to side for a comparison to the original TerraScout. So I'll be comparing the following elements of both of these products: the price, the chrono average, the vehicle speed, camera quality, and combat effectiveness. Number one, price. The original TerraScout has an MSRP of $200 US, and the new TerraScout Recon is $220. The parts received are not completely equal though. The original TerraScout came with an 18-round stick mag as opposed to the 35-round drum, so a higher capacity with the new Recon version. And I put the TerraScout Recon up on the chronograph and I got an average of 71 feet per second, exactly the same as the original TerraScout. Now to compare the camera quality. Both of these cameras only record video at 480p with 30 frames a second, which is not especially high quality. Why tell you when I could just show you? This is an indoor test, but my living room is very well lit intentionally. I shot a little dance maneuver and audio test for a back-to-back comparison. Keep in mind, both of these cameras record in 480p. This video is being uploaded in 1080p, so I upsampled both of these videos to fit the full frame. Camera nerds will know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it probably doesn't matter to you. Comparison, go. Audio and dance test, dancing first for motion blur and other things. Testing audio signals, Reddit do. Test completed. Audio and dance test, dancing first for motion blur and other things. Testing audio signals, Reddit do. Test completed. Audio and dance test, dancing first for motion blur and other things. Testing audio signals, Reddit do. Test completed. As you can see, the quality out of both of these cameras is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, about the same, so they're equal, but they're both pretty bad. However, I'm not trying to bring down the product. You can spend the same amount of the entire drone for $200 or $220 to buy an entire GoPro camera. Sure, that $200 camera will record better footage, but it doesn't drive around and shoot Nerf darts. And the camera I use is actually far more expensive than that. But the important thing to take away is how cool it is to have a live feed into this monitor here. Having a live stream of a 1080p footage won't be that helpful on this small of a monitor. You don't need that ultra precise resolution. The movement of the tank is so jarring that even if it were a really high quality camera, it wouldn't be watchable afterwards anyways, so just focus on the live streaming aspect and think of the SD recording as kind of a bonus. Without a dedicated camera rig attached to this, like a GoPro with a dedicated 3-axis gimbal, to level out that movement when you're sloshing the tank around to get somewhat steady footage, unless you want to get motion sickness and vomit when you're watching videos. But without that, no camera is going to really do a good job in this location. So yes, the cameras are bad, but I don't mean to bring it down too much. So I'll just stop talking about it then. Firing performance, let's see them fire side by side. Firing version 1. Firing version 2. Three, two. Both of those were firing on a freshly recharged battery, and as you can see, firing performance is effectively the same. And like I said, with the chrono average of both 71 feet per second and 71 feet per second, I can safely say the firing performance is identical. Okay, so the blaster's the same, but is the tank the same? Let's race them, bro. Fast and Furious up in here, bro. Let's get some neon underglow and some racing stripes or flames. Oh yeah, get some NOS, bro. I'm just kidding, but I did race them. On to the demo. Oh, that was a close one. Let's go to the line judge. And the OG TerraScout takes it by a hair. Oh yeah. So the OG or TerraScout number 1 won by a little bit, but not a whole lot. And if you noticed how they weren't set like completely straight at the beginning, they were both offset. Neither of these go perfectly straight. One of the treads go a little faster. It could be based on grip or motors, or I don't know. So they both curve, so I just faced them inward to kind of end at the same point. I had to hit go on both of them at the same time. Deal with it. Well. And the last test, perhaps the most important test. Super serial about that. No, just kidding. Combat effectiveness. Which one will win in a jousting match? Jousting, the medieval sport of riding a horse and smacking an opponent with a chainsaw. Or they didn't use chainsaws. They used tomahawks, axes.
It's called a lance. Hello?
Lances. Yeah, I don't have any lances, but I do have chainsaws. So let's joust with chainsaws. Now I need a good clean fight from both of you. No cheating. Looking at you, bro. Recon. Yeah, I know what that means. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, break it up, bro. Round 2, in 3, a 2. Separate, round 3. Redo, pilot error. Oh, that was sweet. What do you, stop it. Stop it. Oh man. Oh wow. Okay. OG TerraScout is violating TerraScout Recon. Oh no, stop it. Stop it. In the combat effectiveness, they're pretty much the same. However, TerraScout OG got disqualified for the disorderly conduct there at the end. Inappropriate, so you're done. Just kidding. So the too long didn't read. What did they change from this version to this version? Number 1, price, $200, $220. Number 2, magazine, 18 round stick mag, 35 round drum mag. However, the TerraScout came with an orange opaque magazine, not a clear one, but I lost it. No, I didn't lose it. I repurposed it. Worth it, because it's glued to that tray thing. The included darts with the Recon version are black. They aren't better or worse, they're just black. So they're stealthy for night ops or something. And obviously the repaint, but that's not better or worse. I guess it's more tactical and like stealthy and stuff. I think it's a little lazier. I would have liked to see like a gray stripe down the side, kind of like what they did with the white here, or like the black multicam pattern or something. That would be cool, very tactical. And those are the only differences. There's no performance gain in the Recon version. It's kind of an updated reskin. If you have both of them in front of you for $200 and $220, in my opinion, I would lean towards the Recon version because of the 35 round drum. Normally, I love stick mags because you can store a bunch of them on your body, but a tank operator is a little different. And bumping up from 18 to 35 round capacity means you can shoot for almost twice as long before you have to come back in to reload. And it's not like when you're holding a blaster, you just drop the mag and reload. You have to take your tank back to you, put in a new mag, and then drive it back out into the field. So that capacity boost is a big deal. And the width, if you drive inside, you know, this will catch on door frames. I've done it a lot. The slightly reduced width of the drum magazine, because it's not protruding away from the blaster, makes it a smaller package to weave in and out between your couch, and if you're playing inside, it's a huge factor. If you're playing outdoors, then that doesn't matter as much, but if you're playing outdoors, there's kind of an implication of it being more spread out of a game. So then we go back to capacity. You can keep the tank further away from you for longer with the higher capacity. And since I don't think you can buy the 35 round drum separately anywhere, not to my knowledge, that might be worth the upgrade in my opinion. But the tactical paint job, completely your call. I don't think one's cooler or better than the other, just obviously different. Ideally, they would have just painted it clear. I would have bought that for sure. Hopefully I've just covered the comparison, original TerraScout to TerraScout Recon. Pretty much the same, other than the paint, darts, and camo. The comparison is guided towards people who see the TerraScout and you're like, hey, I need to buy that. Which one should I buy? Now to my opinion on this product, if you're still on the fence of if you even want a TerraScout, which is perfectly reasonable if you're still skeptical because it's $220, which is very expensive. So overall opinion, I think the product is awesome. I think it's a high quality product that they executed very well. The tank element is fantastic. It runs on a rechargeable battery, which is both convenient and cheaper long run instead of like alkalines. The control of the vehicle is solid through the radio. You're able to move like through a close close quarter area like a house or outside because the tank treads go over a lot of stuff. The blaster performance is solid. It's effectively a rapid strike. 71 FPS chrono average. You have a magazine for quick reloads if you want to drive it back to you, as opposed to something like a cylinder or a turret. And with the live feed, you're able to aim pretty easily, and with full auto, if you get near your target, you're going to hit them. Keep in mind, it's very loud, louder than like an upgraded flywheel blaster revving away, so it's going to be difficult to be stealthy with it. If you're trying to be stealthy, you might move it around into position and then let it sit still. Kind of like a claymore concept. You just place it, you let it sit there, and then you wait for somebody to show up in your monitor and you press go. Or you can chase after them because it's so loud, it's almost intimidating to have it like a monster truck. And if I heard that coming, I would run. But whatevs, depends who you're trying to shoot at. Zambies are silly, bro. Now, it is a very expensive product, but I think it does a very good job at what it's doing. Is the product worth it? I can't answer that question. It's very subjective and completely dependent on your perception of money. How much money you have on hand, how much you play Nerf, and how much, more importantly, you would actually use a tool like this. Even if you Nerf every weekend, this is a very specialty type tool. You have to play in a very particular scenario to be able to use this. You have to play with the right people, because if you play with D-bags and they see this roaming around, they might kick it or splash water on it or just do other D-bag things to it. And when you're completely focusing on your monitor like this, you're no longer shooting with the blaster you have in your hands, assuming this isn't your primary. That would be kind of funny if it was. I assume because of the sling mounts, that's on a sling and you have like a different blaster in your hands, so that split use may or may not fit your personal playstyle. That all being said, I think $220 is a fair price. Is it worth it? Still can't answer that, but I think it is a fair price. Remote control car, plus fully automatic Nerf blaster, 35 round drum, and more importantly than all of that, the camera with a live feeding system. You could totally DIY a rig like this, but it's difficult to get the same user interface. It's so easy to use to drive and then fire at the same time. It all connects really easily with the live streaming and everything being powered off of one battery source here. It's just convenient and it flows well. So my opinion is positive. My opinion on the OG version was also positive, so this is just another one that I like as well. That concludes my opinion on the TerraScout Recon. Boy, that is a long review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed filming all the different components of this video. Hopefully I provided all the information you need to make that purchase decision for yourself. If you're interested in purchasing either the Recon version or the OG version, I'll have buy links in the description box below. That concludes this video review. Thanks so much for watching, especially to the end when it's this long. That means a lot to me, bro. You guys that regularly watch my stuff are the bomb diggity. But that's it. Thanks so much for watching, bros, and as always, stay tactical. I just said bomb diggity. Deal with it.